Hello everyone, Sancha here with more Let's Make a Game Astral Collision, and quite frankly, not a whole lot's been able to get done this week. If you remember from last week, I mentioned that my dad and I had started a project to build a bunk bed in my room, and while that has come along quite nicely, it required further work this week as I did a lot of painting on that, which, combined with a few other things going on, just meant that I haven't had a whole lot of time to get to much in the game. It happens sometimes, that's life. But not a whole lot doesn't mean nothing. So let's go ahead and go over a couple of things that did happen. So I've done a bit more thinking about some of the items and in terms of equipment that you equip. And one of the decisions that I made was to add a different necklace variant called an amulet. So for reference, I have previously designed these silver necklaces. So the Sinew silver necklace, this is just an anagram of poison. All of them are anagrams of the condition that they prevent, but all of these make you immune to one of the conditions. So I decided, you know what, let's go ahead and roll on that theme and make some amulets. So amulets give you defense against debuffs. So there's one for each of the stats that can be debuffed, just to give you, I assume this means immunity. At least in the sense that while you're wearing this, you can't have that debuffed, which is, as far as I'm concerned, all that really matters. So these amulets were something that I added because it seemed like a good idea of something that I could have. And then the other thing, the other main thing is I have finished fleshing out the enchantments. So I don't 100% remember what was already there, but let's just go ahead and go over all of them and discuss them. And there'll be some new ones, there'll be some old ones. But I figure it doesn't hurt to kind of go over them again, just as a refresher for my own sake, if not yours. So we have here inversion. And inversion, what it does is it inverts the health regen value. So if you have a lot of health regen, getting this on you is going to swap it to degen, and vice versa. At least that's the idea. I need to formally test it. But yeah, so that's what that one does. I don't know if it should have an earlier ending condition or not. Probably. But that'll require some playtesting. So this is inversion. This one's been around for a while. So has Burning Gaze. So Burning Gaze lasts a few turns. You'll notice it does not have... So right here, this has a little message that will pop up in the log when you become enchanted with inversion. Burning Gaze does not have that because it's going to get applied a lot because it applies it. It makes your auto attacks or your normal attacks, anything that inflicts the normal state, the normal attack. So as an example of this, if we go over to skill right here, this says add state normal attack. So anything that does that will add it. So you'd be seeing it'll pop up a lot because it's going to get transferred between everyone. And so in order to prevent an absurd amount of spam in the message log, I don't have it have a message. But it applies itself on attacks, gives some HP degen, gives some MP degen, and gives TP regen. So that's what this one does. The idea is that kind of like, hey, you're setting everybody on fire with this thing that makes you more aggressive and more powerful in combat that way, but drains you and burns you out. So that's what's going on here. Then there's Blood is Power. This one it gives you 10% HP degeneration for 10% MP regeneration. So it trades life for MP for mana. So that's what that one does. Then there's Raging Winds. So this one, again, these don't have any sort of earlier end clause. Perhaps I should. Playtesting will prove that out. This one in particular might be good to give an end clause too, but I mean, like, putting this on a boss could be really powerful, but it could also be a really bad idea. I don't know yet. Raging Winds gives you, basically, you're guaranteed to have 2 actions, and there's 50% chance that any of your attacks will be a double strike. But it also dramatically decreases the effectiveness of healing on you, so you receive 25% healing compared to what you normally would. So this is risk reward. The reward is that you are able to be a lot more, you're able to do a lot more. You're able to hit a lot more. You're able to just do more actions. But the risk is that you can't heal very well. So then there's Supercharge. This one's kind of weird. This one lasts 3 turns. It makes all of your MP costs really low. It drops them to 1/5 of their normal value. But it makes you super weak to lightning damage, makes you deal lightning damage, makes you immune to paralysis, and makes you take a little bit of additional damage from fire. So basically, if you're supercharged and you attack somebody who's supercharged, you're doing a lot of damage to them because your attack is automatically changed to lightning. I don't know about this one. We'll see how it is. I liked the idea of making your MP costs way cheaper. I don't know if this is too good or too bad or where it is, but it certainly is quirky, and I'm interested to see how it plays. That brings us to Tranquility. So Tranquility has a 15% chance to be removed when you take damage. So if you get hit, there's a 15% chance it'll end. This one gives you a huge amount of HP regeneration at 20%. Remember, the cap is 25% of your maximum HP. This gives you a lot of HP regen, therefore. It also prevents you from gaining TP and makes it harder for you to counterattack. So this is the idea of, like, you're being tranquil. You're not really building up any of that battle energy, that battle aggression, but you are healing really quickly. So this one is interesting. It will be interesting to see how it actually plays, because all of these need playtime. I haven't made any skills at using of them yet. Crystalline Sleep is really complicated. I think this is a new one. I don't remember when I implemented Tranquility, but Crystalline Sleep I know is a new one, as well as Snow Cloak that we'll get to in a bit. So this one lasts a few turns. It always gets removed when you take damage. There's some caveats there, though. So this one gives you a little bit of HP and MP regen and a little bit of TP degen. And you also cannot move. So most of these don't have a restriction on them. You can see that. But Crystalline Sleep does. You cannot move. You can't do anything. Which I might need to change. I'll have to see, because I think it might cancel out some of the effect that this is supposed to have. But the basic idea here is that you have... yeah, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change this from that to... sealing skill types. Because if it seals skill types, you're not able to do much. You're able to guard, and that's about it. And I'll also have it seal the attack skill. So you kind of are stuck, like you can guard, and that's it, sort of thing. Guard and use items. Because the point of this one, and the reason why I made that change, is that you get a ton of magic reflection and counterattack. Basically, you also take 3 times damage, but it's really hard to hit you. While you're in this state, the idea is that you can't do anything. You get a little bit of healing, but you can't do anything. But if anybody attacks you, they'll always get countered, is kind of the idea behind this. Like, their attempts to attack you will always get them countered. But if they use a certain hit move, that goes through these 2 things, and it also means that these don't affect anything, but if somehow they manage to hit you, they'll do a bunch of additional damage. But yeah, you can end this by hitting somebody. We'll see how this one plays as well. I like the basic idea. RPG Maker might not be implemented in a way that lets it work quite the way I want, so we'll find out on that front. Then there's Fragilis Speed, which I know is an old one. 20% chance to end when you take damage. You take double damage, but you move way faster. Life Spring. So this one's an interesting one. You can see a note here explaining what's going on. It increases your element rate is a multiplier that's applied when you take damage or healing from that element, and that's what's critical here. So 200 times 200% means times 2, and times 2.5. So you take more damage from damage sources of water, light, and life, but those are also the healing sources. So in general, you'll be healed for more as well, because again, you get healed for, say, 150 water healing. Well, that would become 300 while this is on you. So it's kind of this interesting trade-off that works because of the way elements work. Then there's Snow Cloak, which I know is a new one. This one makes you take less damage, so it halves the damage that you take from physical and magical sources, but also gives you some HP regen. I don't know about some of these values. I kind of want more variety than 10%, but I kind of need to play with some of them. And then the last enchantment is the Magi Rage, which forces you to attack an enemy, but it increases your attack damage by your different element stats over 3, so it's a little bit more than the average. So I think that's all of those. There's one more skill that I've implemented as well, which is a ninja skill down here, Sneak Attack. So sneak attack is a very slow move, has a decent amount of MP requirement, but it's a certain hit, which means it can't be dodged or any of that sort of stuff. It's neither a physical attack nor a magical attack, so it'll go through all sorts of defenses and all that sort of stuff. The basic formula for this is actually right here. So it does your normal attack, and then it adds on your dexterity times 2 plus your hit value. So, for example, you might have a hit value of 165%. Well, that would mean that this is now going to be 3.65 times your dexterity. So that's a huge increase. I will need to double check this just to make sure a.hit is stored as a floating point value and not as an integer value that then gets divided by 100. Because if that's the case, I obviously will need to modify how these things work. But then you'll see this other one here. Plus 10 times b.eva. This is the evasion stat. So the idea here is backstab does way more damage the more evasion you have. If you have 25% evasion, then this would be a 2.5 multiplier that gets added on. So it further increases the damage. So the better your accuracy and the better your opponent's evasion, the more powerful sneak attack hits. So the idea is that this is a counter move that you use against highly evasive enemies. So that's kind of the general idea. I might do a similar-ish move that does a similar sort of thing with the counterattack stat as well, now that I'm thinking about it, because I think that that's a really good idea. I'm not quite sure who I'll give that to, but I don't think I want to give it to the ninja. I feel that gives the ninja a little bit too much. Or maybe that belongs to the ninja. Maybe the ninja should do that sort of thing. I could do similar skills to punish magic reflection as well. But anyway, that's most of what I can think of that I've done. I haven't really done any map work that I can think of. It's just the same stuff. I haven't worked on any dialogue or anything. I have looked at some of these and some of the weapon planning, but I haven't really progressed anything with any of that because, like I said, it's been a busy week. Sometimes it happens, but you know what? A little bit of progress is what's important to make. So anyway, a lot of stuff needs testing. A lot of stuff still needs to get done. That's how it goes. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here before I ramble on anymore. So until next time, everyone, thank you for watching. Take care, and goodbye.